America's prison gangs aren't just groups of inmates, they're shadow governments with rituals, codes, and blood oaths. From hidden initiation rites to deadly retaliation for betrayal, their power reaches beyond the bars. In this documentary, we'll pierce the secrecy of blood in, blood out, a world where the price of loyalty is violence and the only way out may be death. In the 1960s and 70s, overcrowded prisons became breeding grounds for survival alliances. In California's toughest facilities, San Quentin, Folsom, Soledad, Latino, Black, and white inmates began forming groups for protection. Over time, these groups solidified into gangs with military-style hierarchies and codes. Blood in, blood out emerged as a promise and a threat. New members had to prove loyalty through violent acts, and leaving meant facing lethal consequences. Former correctional officers recall seeing how these rituals transformed prisons into battlegrounds, with power shifting from wardens to shot callers behind bars. Inside these cells, tattoos aren't just ink, they're declarations of allegiance and history. A spider web on an elbow, a three-dot triangle, a coded number. Each mark tells who you are, what you've done, and where you stand. Recruits memorize symbols and coded phrases before their first act of earning their bones. The rituals are both psychological and practical, binding the recruit to the gang while identifying him to allies and enemies alike. Criminologists call this ritualized violence, a process that turns frightened young men into soldiers willing to kill for an organization they barely understand. In interviews, former members described the moment they crossed the line, knowing there was no way back. Blood in isn't a metaphor. Initiations can be assaults, stabbings, or murders ordered by gang leadership. The act is chosen to send a message and test the recruit's nerve. Often it's against a rival, sometimes even against an unsuspecting civilian or guard. The recruit is watched closely. Did he hesitate? Did he complete the mission? Did he keep quiet after? Successful initiations are celebrated in secret. A handshake, a whispered code word, but they also mark the recruit as permanently expendable. He now holds secrets that, if revealed, could dismantle the gang's inner workings. Prison intelligence units document these patterns but rarely stop them in time. Once inside, the rituals don't end. Gang meetings, called cars, tables, or councils depending on the group, are run like corporate boardrooms. There are bylaws, fines, and disciplinary hearings. In some gangs, a member must contribute a portion of commissary money or outside earnings to a collective kitty. Violating rules can mean checking in to protective custody or being greenlit for attack. Even meals and workouts can be ritualized to reinforce unity. This disciplined structure allows gangs to control entire yards, orchestrate drug and weapons trafficking, and even reach into street operations through coded letters and contraband phones. Inmates say it feels like joining a religion, complete with prayers, oaths, and penance. Only the God is power. Every prison gang has its hierarchy, and at the top sits the shot caller. He's rarely the loudest or most violent, he's the strategist. From a cell the size of a bathroom, he directs extortion rackets, coordinates assaults, and negotiates alliances. Messages flow through layers of trusted lieutenants, disguised in legal mail, kites, or coded phone calls to the street. Even wardens know, without the caller's tacit approval, a yard can erupt into chaos. This invisible power structure mimics a military chain of command. Orders come down, tribute flows up. New members are trained to obey, not question. Former intelligence officers describe shot callers as CEOs of violence, who can order hits with a few scribbled words. Rituals cement the brotherhood. Some gangs require a written oath, a nickname bestowed in a candlelit cell, or a symbolic drink of contraband liquor mixed with drops of blood. Others use public displays, coordinated workouts, hand signs flashed at just the right moment, or communal meals where only certain members may sit. These acts aren't superstition, they're behavioral glue. They create a sense of us, so strong that betraying it feels like betraying family. In interviews, ex-members speak of a twisted warmth. A cellmate who will fight to the death for you, a group that will provide legal fees or look after your family outside. That bond is the bait, and also the trap, of blood in, blood out. If blood in is the price of admission, blood out is the cost of leaving. Defectors are often marked for death, even if they enter witness protection or transfer to another state. Some are forced to clear their name by attacking a rival or smuggling contraband as a final act of penance. Others quietly deactivate and hope to fade into the population, but the gang's reach is long. Correctional staff have intercepted hit lists sent across multiple facilities and even across state lines. The message to the rest of the gang is unmistakable: loyalty is life. Betrayal is a death sentence, delayed but rarely denied. The rituals don't stop at the gate. Families, girlfriends, and street crews become part of the gang's orbit. New recruits on the street are schooled in prison-style discipline so they'll fit when locked up. Some gangs hold street councils that mirror prison meetings, complete with bylaws and dues. Money from drug sales or fraud schemes flows back into commissary funds, lawyers, and bribes for corrupt staff. This symbiosis turns prison from a place of punishment into a hub of operations. Sociologists call it the carceral continuum, a pipeline where rituals forged behind bars shape neighborhoods thousands of miles away. For many young men, joining the gang in prison isn't a beginning or an end. It's a continuation of a life governed by the same code. Power needs fuel. Inside that fuel is contraband, phones, drugs, and weapons. Smuggling it in is ritualized like a military supply line. Visitors hide packages in body cavities, corrupt staff carry kites under food trays, drones drop bundles onto exercise yards at night. Recruits often prove loyalty by running these risky missions. Every successful delivery strengthens the gang's authority, a hidden economy with its own rules and prices. Intelligence officers call it shadow logistics. For members, it's a rite of passage, bringing in something forbidden, unseen, and essential, proving they can be trusted with more dangerous tasks. Orders don't move openly, they move in code. A legal letter full of bland case law can hide a murder order in its first letters of each line. A child's drawing sent from the street may mark targets through color placement. Entire dictionaries of slang, badgering, hitting the kite, laying steel, signal complex plans in plain sight of staff. Learning this language is part of initiation. Members practice writing and reading ghost scripts, so they can pass messages under lockdown. Former gang investigators say it's like battling a living cipher machine that evolves with every bust. Breaking these codes can save lives. Failing to can mean bloodshed before breakfast. Inside the gang, justice is swift. A member who fails to pay dues, mishandles contraband, or disrespects leadership may face a DP, disciplinary punishment. It can be a beating in the shower, a stabbing with a filed-down toothbrush, or a forced removal from the yard. These rituals of punishment aren't random. They're stage-managed to reinforce authority. Younger members watch and learn. Break a rule and the same will happen to you. In some cases, the DP is symbolic, a required workout, loss of privileges, or a public apology, but even those are structured like ceremonies, designed to humiliate and rebond at the same time. No gang exists in isolation. Rituals extend to alliances and rivalries. Shot callers may declare peace weeks, where members avoid conflict with rivals, sealed with handshakes and coded notes. Conversely, they may announce a green light on an enemy group, turning the yard into a war zone. These decisions are formalized like treaties. Emissaries meet in the law library, exchange written terms, and send confirmation to street crews. The rank and file often don't know the reasons, they just follow orders. When truces break, violence erupts with ritualistic precision, simultaneous assaults at multiple facilities, coordinated through smuggled phones. Each move feeds the legend of the gang's reach and discipline, making the rituals seem even more powerful than they are. The law library isn't just for appeals, it's a communications hub. Legal mail is protected from routine searches and gangs exploit this. A bland-looking motion for reconsideration can conceal coded instructions, while a book sent by an attorney may contain micro-written messages in the margins. Recruits are taught how to write clean legal documents with hidden meaning. This ritual of using the system against itself gives gangs an aura of invincibility. Even under lockdown, their words travel beyond the bars. Investigators say the law library is where the quietest men wield the most power, rewriting both paperwork and prison life. Every gang wants fresh blood. In high-security yards, older members act like mentors. They identify vulnerable newcomers, those without family visits, those already in debt, and start with small favors. A soup, a phone call, a sense of belonging. Indoctrination follows a script, teaching the gang's history, symbols, and enemies like catechism. Some even run classes in cells, complete with written exams and oaths. This process transforms a scared young inmate into a soldier before he realizes he's enlisted. By the time he's asked to commit violence, refusing would violate the ritual of reciprocity, a deadly insult. Criminologists describe it as a cycle of socialization, weaponized behind bars. Rituals give structure, but they also take a toll. Living under constant surveillance, secrecy, and threat rewires the mind. Former members describe nightmares, paranoia, and a numbness to violence. Some develop PTSD long before release. Even after leaving the gang, certain smells or sounds, the clang of a gate, the buzz of fluorescent lights, trigger flashbacks of oaths taken and punishments given. Psychologists studying ex-members compare it to cult deprogramming, undoing years of ritualized behavior and belief. For many, the gang's code becomes a phantom limb, an invisible set of rules they still follow long after the handcuffs are gone. Behind the walls, rituals are power. Blood in, blood out isn't just a slogan. It's a system of control built on violence, secrecy, and belonging. It shapes who enters, who survives, and who never walks away. Understanding these rituals matters because their reach doesn't stop at the cell door. It ripples into communities, courts, and entire generations. Breaking the cycle means exposing it, educating about it, and offering alternatives to the young men who might otherwise be pulled in. As we leave this story, remember, the most dangerous parts of a prison gang aren't just the weapons or the orders, it's the invisible code that binds them all together.